There are very few times when I am thoroughly disgusted with humanity. Very, very few times. Normally, I'm just detached. I don't expect anything from anybody. I don't expect any semblance of humanity or love. I absolutely think nothing good about humankind. Nothing good. I really don't. I live in a world of people who don't know anything. I live in a world of people who are so disconnected from reality, they just don't care. They just exist. They're not here anymore. They never have been here anymore. They don't care. And there are things that I want to remind you of that are the most important. And one of them is this idea from Rousseau, who says that the I think in his second principles, but what makes us who we are more than anything as a human being, what makes us who we are is pity. Pity makes us who we are. That's it. Not our intellect, not our soul or spirit, but pity. The ability to look and to feel this thing called empathy, to feel this thing, for whatever you want to call it, this notion of compassion, empathy, this empathic connection with people. When you see something, when you see children hurt, it's that thing that little kids have. And you'll see children sometimes when they see another child or baby who's crying, they'll look at you. And it should make you feel really good inside. It should make you feel great because you think, oh, that's terrific. See, a psychopathic child doesn't have that. A psychopath is what you're born with. A sociopath is what you're taught. And when you see this disconnect, when you see this level of detachment from humanity, when you see people look at other humans like chattel, cattle, it reminds you that perhaps psychopathy might be the norm, and that non-psychopathy or empathy might be the aberration. An aberration, something that is out of whack. The pathology is something that is not normal. Pathology doesn't mean something that's bad. It means something that's not normal. You know, blue eyes could be considered a pathology theoretically, but what maybe being empathic is negative in this country, in this world, because if you feel for individuals, if you feel for them, you could be held back significantly. You could be in the position where you are not able to do as well because you feel. Two instances are happening to me right now. Two stories which I find to be the most interesting. Number one is this Quiet on Set that has received absolutely no attention from Hollywood, but certain actors and their affiliation with pro-Palestinian aspects, that got their attention. And number two, and there's a subsidiary in terms of child predation in there. And number two, the statements of Jared Kushner blew me away. I've never cared for him. And if there's one reason never to vote for Donald Trump, one reason, and I could not argue this away, is if Jared Kushner is within 1,000 miles of the White House or has anything to do with involving the implementation and the involvement of any ideas. I despise this person. And I'm not one to despise. That's not my usual MO. Let me explain this to you. Let me tell you what you have to know and what you have to pay attention to, which is very, very critical. Let me remind you, please, to like this video, to subscribe to the channel. And on a lighter note, let's talk about the idea of you running out of food and what to do in the case of famine. Let's talk about a very serious subject, emergency food. That's right, emergency food. Now, I know at first blush it's difficult for most people to think about something that they just take for granted, ever reaching, emergency status. We're used to stores always being open, deliveries always made, no supply chain disasters, no ransomware catastrophes, shutting down gas stations, no trucking strikes, no war, no protests from farmers, no mysterious Chinese weather balloons, nothing catastrophic in terms of weather. Well, that can't happen to us, right? And I understand it's a defense mechanism that we have because the idea of ever not being able to eat or locate food is seemingly incomprehensible to most people. But think about this. It's not. That's why it's time for you to go to my site, preparewithlionel.com. Preparewithlionel.com has the deal of deals for you. Take it as a starter set, an introduction set. You've been putting off emergency food for too long. Some people still have a thing about prepping as though prepping for emergency is foolish. Now, right now, you can save $200 on a 3-month emergency supply kit. This is unbelievable. 22 varieties with a 25-year shelf life, 25 years, 2,000 calories a day in 6 rugged buckets, 120 pounds of food. Could you go 3 months, 90 days if stores closed? Be honest. Could you go a week without any trips to the store? I don't think so. I'm not talking about having stuff in your cabinet. I'm not talking about banana chips and jerky. I'm talking about food, real food. So go right now to preparewithlionel.com. This moment, right now, preparewithlionel.com. Preparewithlionel.com. Go now and thank me later. Now, this may come as a shock to a lot of people because I've come to realize this, and I will say this, but there are people who just don't understand how evil this world is, and you have to know what it is. And a lot of folks will talk about things, and we'll talk about children and predation and the like, but they do it almost as though like it's a ceremony. They kind of miss the point. They don't understand what's really at the heart of everything. What's really at the heart of everything. Let me explain something to you. Donald Trump is the only chemotherapy there is that will destroy this cancer, this pathology called whatever it is, left, woke, whatever. Donald Trump is it. Donald Trump is absolutely it. And Donald Trump, by virtue of his money or his whatever, has produced, in one particular case, and maybe it's not his fault per se, but in his daughter, Ivanka, this person who's completely, absolutely detached, never had to really consider worry about anything, completely living in a bubble in la la land. And listen, that's okay. I understand that. Many people would say, well, it's not her fault, but she is vacant and vapid and empty and just wants to be known as being as rocking her abs and that kind of thing. These are people who are empty shells. They don't even, in my world, they don't even register. They're like mannequins, hominids, animatronics, people who spend their entire life in a self-indulgent, solipsistic, narcissistic way, by the way, which social media platforms and our new zeitgeist, which all of this promote. But she married a guy named Jared Kushner. And if ever there was a person who absolutely, positively, just if I had to, if I'm doing just the clinical assessment and I'm just looking at this guy, or I'm thinking to myself, he's a client and we're going to go to a jury trial. And what am I afraid of? And what do you think the jury is going to think? Take one look at him and I realize, oh my God, this guy's cold. He's flat affect. He himself, he's like, there's no sentience there. Same look, same. And they talk about, here are our children, props. Here we are in India at this billionaire's wedding, props. We took our daughter. Oh, you love your daughter. Very good. Props. Our children, props. Stage. Look at us. Here's Ivanka on the beach. Here's Ivanka. Here. And this guy walking around with that glazed, kind of flat affect. Well, I didn't think too much of it. I've met shallow people my whole life. And let's face it, when you meet uh, or if you get to know President Trump, we're not talking about a genius, but somebody who has an uncanny ability to get to the bottom line. He's certainly not stupid, but he's not, you know, light years ahead of people. He's just the way he is, and you have to recognize this fact. You can't love these people. You can't say like, oh, he's my boyfriend, I'm a fan. Ringo. These aren't the Beatles. These are people who were there theoretically to support you or to represent you. But in a recent interview, I think it might have been something with a Harvard Associated Middle East something or other. Jared Kushner is speaking. And I can't believe there are people that I have known in the business who, for a variety of reasons, I just abhor. Not because of their never their political opinions, never. That will never, ever affect you. One of my best friends has the political acumen of a 5-year-old. He is infantilism. He just doesn't understand, but I love him, and that's the way it is. And I don't care about that. What do you like? It's like me not liking you as a friend because you don't like the Clash, or you do like the Clash. I mean, something stupid. Your likes, your dislikes. I can't help that. Okay. Edie says, since I've listened here, Mr. L, I'm relieved to understand I can vote for Trump as a means to an end. I don't have to like him. Well, that and it's true, but that goes for everybody. Remember, he works for you. I don't have to like my waiter or waitress. I don't have to like my mailman if we have those anymore. I don't want to, they work for me. I work for them. Certain things you have to like. To an extent, maybe even your doctor you don't have to like, though it helps. But let me tell you what Trump does. And by the way, Trump has and I listen. I'm voting for him no matter what. No, I mean no. He is the only thing possible. He's not my first choice. He's the best choice. Best does not mean the only. But let me tell you what Jared Kushner says. Jared Kushner was doing something, and he was. It was. I believe it was a something about Harvard and the Middle East. And you go into how he got into Harvard. I don't think Harvard means anything anymore. I really do. I swear to God. Harvard in particular, Yale close. That name brand has been so sullied with Claudine Gay, with all this stuff, with all these lunatics, with their affirmative action by systematically showing this prejudice against Asians. I mean, this is the days of Harvard. I remember hearing about Harvard from Thurston Howell. I was a kid. I had no idea what Harvard was. Never. People who walk around with I would never wear something that said FBI, CIA. It's the opposite of stolen valor, or a T-shirt. I know somebody one time who said, "Hey, let's get a Harvard T-shirt," but you didn't go there. Don't. I say, no. Those days are done. Anyway, and how he got in, did they buy it? I don't care about that. But he was talking about Gaza. Please do me a favor. Please. I was watching something that was so incredibly terrific. It's a group. It's something called, let me see. It's called, oh, here we go. Breaking Points. And Ryan and Emily. Okay. Ryan and Emily. Let me give you this. I'm going to give you this address. This is excellent. This is great, great stuff. And I'll tell you why I like it. They didn't hit you over the head. This fellow Ryan's a real cool customer. I like it. And what he does is he doesn't tell you. That's the link. And there is so much great alternative media, if there is alternative. But here's let me just paraphrase. He's talking about Jared is talking about Gaza. And my mother used to say things like, I could have slapped him. I said, you got to be careful. I could have slapped. That was when I could have slapped this guy. There's like this, the expression shit eating grin, just who do you think you are? I'm talking about Gaza. And so help me God, he's talking about, he says, this could be a very valuable waterfront property. Let me just go through this. I don't know if I can get this out of my mouth without throwing up. He talks about, it's very valuable. And by the way, please watch this. Don't take my word for it. He said, it says very valuable waterfront property. Had they taken the money from the tunnels and redirected it accordingly, well, things would have been a lot better for them. Okay. Gaza, he says, is very valuable waterfront property. And he said something about the effect of, for whatever reason, there's refugees, or for whatever reason. I mean, for what? You got to watch this. You can't believe what you're hearing. And he says Gaza is a construct. He made it sound like it doesn't really. It's like, well, there was this kind of a shithole that kind of, it's 4,000 years. Pompeii took it. Alexander the Great. Do you know the number? Do you know the antiquities, the valuable pieces of history that were lost there? And he's talking about. He said, "Well, there's no Palestinian Authority. We're not going to talk about that because that's the that would encourage them. You don't settle. I mean, you've got to see this. Now remember something. I got to make a note of this. I couldn't believe this for a variety of reasons. Number one, who was the moron who let this moron speak? What are you doing? Unless you know exactly what he's doing and want him to say this. Unless you know exactly what it is he's saying and that you know exactly how it sounds and what it means and you don't care. Wow. He is the worst. If I were Trump, I'm saying, what if this got out? What are you doing? And you know who's going after them? Let me also tell you something. Let me stop. And Edie, you might notice this, and please, you might have noticed this as well. I'm not going to go through this. But there are people I never listen to. There are people I just don't like. There are people some of them I thought I knew them and I despise them. And I just can't listen to somebody who I despise. Number one. Or I thought their political ideology was just ridiculous. And by the way, that goes left and right. There are people I cannot listen to. They're so base. I'm listening to, dear friend, I'm listening to people right now that I can't believe I'm listening to and I'm agreeing with. Maybe only on this one. Maybe only on this issue. Now, I understand something, and I don't want to say pride myself, but I am a realist. I understand wars are one thing. I understand that sometimes it's death, and I look at things right now. And I'm able to assess specifically, and I know exactly what is happening regarding Israel and Palestine and Gaza. And I'm telling you right now, I know what I'm talking about. And I am one of the best people to talk to because I am not emotionally and intellectually invested in this one way or another. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say this, but there are many, many things where I've said in the past, listen, Israel's got a right, and frankly, I do the same thing. Sometimes you got to teach people a lesson. I dig it. This is not one of those times. Okay? There are people who didn't like Israel for variety. Okay, fine. I understand it. I've never been one of these people to I understand anti-Semitism exists, but these are different times, and sometimes you have to. It's like Law and Order. Yes, sometimes this may seem brutal to you, but if you understood how these people work, sometimes you just have to be realistic, okay? So I've never been one. Israel is botching this like you cannot believe. Not Jews, not Zionists, Israel, this particular regime, this particular administration, Bibi and others. And you're not being told the truth. And I go to friends of mine and I say, what do you think about this? And here's what they're saying. This is what there is. Number one, they start with this. They'll say October the 7th, there was uh, a horror. Absolutely. Do you believe that Hamas is a terrorist organization? And you could say, okay, yes. Or you could say they use terrorist means. And the reason why they're one could say they're a terrorist organization is they're not an army. They're not an army. If they were an army, if for example, if let's say France, if Hamas was special services of France, you wouldn't call them terrorists. You'd call them army, or because for some reason, if you put a uniform on, or if you're associated with a country, you're not a terrorist. Was the My Lai massacre terrorism? Yeah. No, it wasn't. It was the army. It was terrorists. So terrorism is kind of like an idea. The way that we use it in common parlance is different than what it is actually intended to be. As you know, there are certain things that we say and certain words that we use and concepts that we use that do not necessarily have anything to do with reality, but it's the way we use them. It's the way we use them. It's how we use them. It's the theory behind how we use them, even though it may not necessarily comply and comport with reality. You got that? Okay. So what they do is they say, was terrorist organization? Yes. October the 7th, yes, terrible. Okay. Does Israel have the right to defend itself? Yeah. That's it. And that's the end of the discussion. That's it. So Israel, have at it. Do whatever you want. You got my approval. Kill people, but million. I don't care about that. Yeah, but there's a million. But there's a million people who are starving. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. Yeah, but the Amnesty International. I don't care about that. I don't care about Amnesty International. Well, these organizations say that Hamas is a terrorist organization. Okay, that I'll listen to. I'll listen to that, but I do not want to hear. And you cannot use the G word. You cannot use genocide. So I would say if somebody hired me, if somehow Israel said, the government said, what would you do? I'd say you are in such trouble right now, politically, internationally, and you American people are living in a goldfish bowl. You don't know anything about this. You don't know anything about this. You're kept secret. You're kept from this. You're like the children who don't know their parents are having real problems. Sometimes, remember the old story, we wanted to wait till the kids were grown before we got a divorce. That's kind of what you are. You're a child. They're treating you like a child here. Fox News, the usual suspects. And they have sworn fealty to this idea that whatever current Israeli organization or regime is in, you must bid fealty. Okay, fine. This is not a support or recommendation of terror or anything like that. Okay, fine. But here comes Jared Kushner. And I'm thinking to myself, what would you do if somebody did that to your family? They're basically saying, just level this. This is oceanfront property. These people don't have Gaza. What do you say? Gaza is just a construct. Gaza is a construct. Gaza is this. There's no, these people. It's like sometimes when folks would go into various parts of the world and say, oh, look at these savages squatting, eating with sticks. Look at them. It's always the ugly American looking at them like, oh, look at this. Please watch this and just be memorable. And if there's one reason not to vote for Donald Trump, it's that guy. I have never been so repulsed. And I've heard him before. He was always, like, okay, he's the son-in-law. Repulsed to the point. But it's not, this is not somebody who just spoke. This is somebody who has I got it. It's one of these people who possesses an ideology that I want nothing. I don't want my government being anywhere near this. And I know there are people on the left and the right, and there are people in PLO and PLO. Listen to me, I'm 80 minutes. But the Palestinian, yes, you're right, it's all over the place. But that guy, no. I never. And you have to go to elsewhere. You have to go to news sources. You have to go to people. You may not necessarily like everything that they say, but to get the truth, and you have to be able to understand something. There are people who 99% of the time you may disagree with. 99% of the time. But the 1%, you work together. Okay? These aren't cliques that we're in, or cliques, as you would say. We don't care about this. There is this thing that people have, and your friend Tucker exhibits this. It's almost like this childhood fascination with Ron Paul. Have you seen this? It's a childhood fascination. Isn't he wonderful? Okay, I understand it. But there are some things he has said, some things that make sense, but he's a one issue dude. And for those things that he and I agree with, I'm 100%. For those things that I do not agree with, I'm off. So I never say, so people could ask, do you like Tucker? It's not a question of liking Tucker. I don't understand what this is. Do you like Netflix? Sometimes it depends what they show. Do you like the Beatles? Well, not every song, but I mean, for the most. But for some reason, we get into these things where do you like them? You don't like them. And yet you live in a fishbowl. You live in this little world that you don't know anything. And they don't tell you anything. They don't let you know. We are being at Mrs. L yesterday came back from, spent the entire day from before, when it was dark, from a bus trip to Albany and then back again. Cold and raining and home. And what Albany is, by the way, this is my opinion. This is my opinion, not hers. This is my opinion. Government is a facade. It's this, you walk into it, wow, look at this. It's a movie set. It's a Potemkin village. Wow, look at the state capitol. Go up to that. Push your hand on it. It's like sometimes they have like have you seen Chinese buildings? They have fake. Have you seen this? They have actual fake AI kind of stuff that's it's the most incredible thing you've ever seen in your life. You can't believe it. It's fake. That's what government is. It exists despite you. And they're always trying to tell you that they're doing something for you. Right now, as we speak, your government is involved in complete and total abnegation, a recusal from, a surrender of constitutional rights. In the state of New York, we have, you cannot believe the level of billions of dollars being directed, ferried, I guess, so to speak, to illegals. And Elon Musk, that's another one too. I don't care what anybody says about Elon Musk. I don't trust anybody. God bless Elon Musk. Because he sat with that nincompoop, Don Lemon, who said, do you believe in this replacement theory? Yes, Don. You can call it, you may not like the name of this. But then Musk just goes through this because Don Lemon is this one of these stooges that they hired in the past. By the way, this was his last chance. He actually went and I guess his agents, he figured, I'm going to, he shot his wad and figured, okay, I'm going to go for the glory. This is it for me. He wanted to go on space flights. I mean, this is ridiculous. Remember what Dirty Harry taught us. Man's got to know his limitations. But there's this fake world. And Elon Musk points it out. There's this fake world. And there are people who are out to destroy you and your children. I'm going to tell you this other one too, which just enrages me. And I don't get really enraged. I hate these people who yell and scream. I really do. Have you seen a junk yogurt Shmuley Botiak argument with Piers Morgan? It is so despicable, so horrible. Even wrestling wouldn't do this. Not even a work. It's like there's no schmooly figures. Hey, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. And they put people together, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And also these Lex Friedman, who's putting together these ponderous 5-hour. We'll talk about this. And the intellectually bereft and the intellectually insincere. But my friends, there's another one too, and I'm going to talk to you about this very quickly. There's a guy that his name is Mike Lindell. And I know people. I don't want you to go to My Pillow and buy and use promo code Lionel at mypillow.com because he's a great American. Well, he is, but it's a great product. But what they did to him is just beyond anything you've ever seen. So remember that when you support him, you get two things. Number one, the greatest products available, but also supporting a company that's American-owned from a man who basically had the unmitigated audacity to think that he could say whatever he wants. Well, it's time yet again to hail and salute our great friends at mypillow.com. And if you use promo code Lionel, you get a free gift. No purchase necessary. I know, a free gift. Gifts are free. Okay, it's a tautology, so sue me. But listen to me and listen carefully. What are we talking about here? Down comforters, flannel sheets, Giza Dream bed sheets, My Pillow 2.0 body pillows, waffle blankets, couch and recliner pillows, sheets, slippers, percales. I'm not even done yet. Towels, quilts, bedspreads, mattresses, mattress covers, mattress toppers, linens, kitchen towels, bathrobes, pet blankets, bolster pillows, name it. Items to help you luxuriate and relax. And their monster sellers, slippers, My Slippers, slip-ons, moccasins. Think about it. What do they do at My Pillow? What's their main goal? To make things real soft, plush, real comfy, or comfy as I say it. How perfect. So here's the link right now. Go to mypillow.com/Lionel. mypillow.com, promo code Lionel or /Lionel, or call 800-645-4965. 800-645-4965. And watch how fast our good friend Mike Lindell answers the phone. mypillow.com, promo code Lionel, simply and absolutely the best. Okay, let me ask you a question. I'm going to give you a name from history, and I want you to tell me who it is. Hiro Onoda. Hiroonoda. Which of you fine people are the first ones to get this one? Who, by the way, Hiro is my hero. It's one of my heroes. I've loved my entire life since I first heard his story. Who is Hiro Onoda? Who is it? Here we go. O.J. Judge versus Lance Ito. Very good. Japanese, close enough. That's good. Good. Close. I like that, Adam. Prime Minister of Japanese? No. Philanthropist? No. TikTok? No. Hiro Onoda. Come on. Somebody somewhere. Dark Side, Moonlight 7? No. Art of War? No. That would be Sun Tzu, and that would be Chinese. Different. Remember the joke, Iceberg Goldberg? Emperor of Japan? Nope. Come on, this is fun, kids. Who can get it first? You'll get a prize. Does he drive a pickup or a car? I like that. Been inside the Arctic. I don't know what this is. These are Jackie Chan stunt double. This is very good. These are very fun. These are better than the actual answer. Come on, who is Hiro Onoda? One of my heroes in life. Japanese soldier, Philippines. Close enough, Jerry Garner. You got that. Very good. Refuse to surrender. Thank you. Time to Google. Time to check. Hiro Onoda was a Japanese soldier who went to the Philippines. And in 1944, and during the time of when everybody was surrendering and they said the war is over, he said, no, I'm not falling for this. Unless and until I am officially relieved of my duties. He was there on the islands and he would sneak around and steal food and hide in caves. And he was at war. 29 years later, I think in 1974, I believe, almost 30 years, he finally said, okay, And he died and he was 91 years old. We live in this world. There are people who are still arguing 1948. They're still arguing the Nakba. They're still arguing the Balfour Declaration. They're arguing things that have nothing to do with people being slaughtered, bulldozed, killed, destroyed, sniper murdered, whatever you want to go. Children, people, families, histories just wiped out. And I'm all for discussing the problems. Let's get to the issue, put people in trouble, but stop this. It's like they're saying, no, let's talk about this. So the other day, Lex Friedman did this piece. And by the way, Lex I'm a very, very, very big fan. Big fan of who he is. And there's a fellow named his name is Muin Rabbani, Muin, M-O-I-N Rabbani, and he is, I believe he's one of these great. He and Finkelstein were on this debate between Destiny. I don't know Destiny. I guess I've read him. He's he's a gamer or something. Anyway, he was very smart. Speaks very, very fast, very, very, very fast. And of course, you have the world's slowest speaker. Of course, is Norman Finkelstein, who talks like this. On page 242, paragraph 3. I mean, but he's very thorough and excellent. So they were talking about this, and Destiny thought, you know the difference between dolus specialis versus dolus eventualis, specific intent, specific deceit versus mens rea, whether one must show the levels of and I'm thinking, can you imagine during the Holocaust? All right, and I'm just saying, but imagine this: if we were debating, well, the Versailles Treaty, National Socialism is not exactly socialist, and to use the term fascist may in fact be a little bit. You say, wait a minute, what are you talking about? It's like Hiro Onoda. What do you know? What year? What year are you're arguing? Occupation versus are you going to talk about Arafat next? Fatah? Are we going to talk about 1972 in the Olympics? Do you know what's happening right now? And there's Jared Kushner. Well, it makes a lovely oceanfront property. We can develop it okay, but what really got me this morning, sometimes things hit you in a very, very strange way. I was in Israel twice, and at Yad Vashem, which is the Holocaust Memorial, you cannot. There's certain things that get you in a weird way. First, when you're there, you will hear every now and then a howl from someone. It's not just but it's not a crying. It's not a whimpering, sobbing. It's a howl, like the deepest form of despair, sadness, anguish. And you can only imagine, was there somebody who was a survivor? I don't know. But they had things that were, it's incredible. One was piles of shoes. And each shoe was somebody's. But the one the thing that blew me away was like pins, safety pins, or collectible, like just, you cannot believe the numbers. And then they have pictures, these pictures of all these souls. And then what got me? The binders, all of the evidence, all of this stuff. So you look at this, you think it's how did this happen? How did this happen? How did we allow this to happen? It did. It did. And it will happen again and again. And in many respects, it might be on a smaller scale, but it's happening now. This systematic elimination of people without any consideration of who they are, this systematic dehumanization and just, mowing the lawn, and even from people that you would think would have an absolute incredible sentience towards us. No. What got me today was this thing about, I was reading about this notion of, I think I've told you before, the word pedophile or pedophile is it's just used too much. It misses the point. So in doing some research, this killed me. The amount of time that is the reclassification. One is the reclassification of pedophilia and hebephilia with subgroups called pedo or pedohebephilia in the DSM-5. And then there was infantophilia, sometimes called nepiophilia, as a subtype of pedophilia, hebephilia, teleophilia, full grown, mesophilia, intermediate, a romantic or sexual preference for middle-aged adults, gerontophilia. Then we talk about, this killed me, the Tanner scale, the scale of physical development of children transitioning into adolescence. And I said, this is just the Tanner scale. The Tanner scale. They were actually describing people who, and again, I don't care what you're turned on by, as long as you don't do it. I seriously, you could have ideations about this Trump duck for all I know and marry it. You can marry this figurine, and I don't care. It's okay. That's not what I'm talking about. But the fact that there are so many people that they broke down hebephilia, pedohebephilia into Tanner, well, that'd be Tanner scale 3. I thought to myself, this is not some theoretical exercise. This is actual children. They talk about children in terms of Tanner scale numbers. And, well, and this is where I'm thinking of, we've lost someone. We are the vilest human beings. Mrs. L has to go to Albany to say, please do something to hate, or to please do something to protect children online. Well, we can't do that. Parents were there whose children took dared to take dares, subway riding, people who were killed. Kids who committed suicide because of sextortion. And what they will do is they will tell you, well, that's not really the fault of the platform. If the parents had been more involved. So you're saying you're not going to do anything? Well, the lobby, you're not going to do anything to protect children? You don't care about that? No. And by the way, Hollywood is more interested in people wearing a button that shows who promotes, Gaza or Palestinians and is considered anti-Israel than anything involving children. Quiet on set. It's the weirdest thing. So anyway, if you ask these people, excuse me, and representative this, assembly person this, senator this, let me ask you a question. Let me ask somebody from TikTok or whatever. If I came up and I said, And I said, we're going to do the N word challenge. We're going to have a thing where, just like from the movie, remember what was it? Not Death Wish. It was a Bruce Willis with Samuel L. Jackson. What was his series called? Not Kill, whatever it is. Anyway, remember when he was in Harlem and he had a sign that said, I hate, and then the N word. Remember that one? Remember that? And it was a part of this thing. And Samuel L. Jackson came and, they're going to think, okay, fine. Now, what happens? Let me ask you a question. If all of a sudden there was a TikTok challenge that said, you have to walk around wearing these sandwich boards like Bruce Willis that say, I hate N's, the N word. Do you think that the people from TikTok, Facebook, whatever, would do something to stop that? Die Hard. Thank you so much. Die Hard 8? I don't know. But do you think the answer is yes? Absolutely. It would be done so fast. Would you say, excuse me? I think this is really a matter of the parents not. No. It'd be done. You'd be done. Gone. Banned so fast. But if you say, excuse me, you have a number of kids who are advancing, promoting cutting or subway surfing or Russian roulette or taking drugs or whatever it is, things that can kill them. And there's something called the attractive nuisance doctrine as well. Section 230, independence, I don't know. It's bullshit. And you could ask anybody who was there. And then people, I would ask, excuse me, Letitia James? Yes, thank you very much. And by the way, you know what Trump's going to do right now, right? You know what Trump's going to do with his building? He's not going to do anything. He's going to say, take them. By the way, he doesn't have them because he doesn't own like Trump Tower. He owns like the retail space and maybe his apartment. And you know what Letitia James is going to do? He goes, I'm going to fill it up. I'm going to fill everything with illegals. And we're going to give them lawyers and we're going to move them in. And we are promoting squatting because that's what they are. But that's for another story. If I were to say, Tish, yeah, excuse me, I'm a constituent of yours. Did you know, and if I made this up, I said, you know that on TikTok right now, there is the N-word challenge. What? Yes, kids are asked from this movie. What do you think she would do? You know what she would do. Or something like somebody who denied climate change or pro-Trump or said vaccines kill or whatever it is. You would be crushed in a heartbeat. Think about that. And a playful little joke in paying homage to the Die Hard, they would absolutely positively, you would be destroyed. Destroyed. That is the hypocrisy of where we live. That is where, and nobody's bringing this up. Nobody. Let me tell you something, and you listen to me, and you listen good. If you have a child, if you have a grandchild, if you have somebody who is, you better be immediately say, let me see your phone. What? Let me see your phone. They think this is so. You should see these arrest videos where people say, where's my phone? They don't even care about the fact that they're arrested. Where's my phone? Who's got my phone? The phone. The phone is the most, that's it. Do you know what your child, do you know? No, you don't. I promise you, you do not. You do not. You do not know what your child is doing. You do not know. And you don't know what's susceptible. And you think, well, my kid will never do that. And my kid, you have no idea. And guess what? Nobody cares about your kids. Nobody cares about your family. Nobody cares about your stinking kid, black, white, or whatever. Believe me. Not when you're getting paid off. And by the way, you know what this TikTok business is about, right? This is Zuckerberg. This is Zuckerberg. Because TikTok in China, you can't do this. So this is what we live in. So let me just recap. Gaza is going to bite the Democrats on the ass. And the Republicans, they don't care because they're not going to get it. But these people are so stupid. That's why behind the scenes, Pelosi's doing it, Schumer's doing it. The Democrats say, we don't know what the hell to do. And people who are the squad, this could be the resurgence of that particular aspect that will forever fractionalize. Republicans are saying, look, flat out, we're 100%. You know what we are, where we stand with Israel? That's it. They've never been consistent. Never. They've never, ever, ever shown any. And that's fun. The political aspect of it, please watch that piece of Jared Kushner. Just watch him and watch the way he speaks about it. Like he's talking about roaches or something, or getting rid of silverfish. Remember that when you were a kid? I never saw us. I didn't know what the hell silverfish were, but be careful. Don't want silverfish. Oh my God. It's not goldfish? No, goldfish is a fish. It's a silverfish. They are bugs. Now, also, dear friends, let me also ask you, please go immediately to Mrs. L's channel right this moment. There is one of the most important and critical. Watch this interview with our good friend Diane Diamond. Watch this. And let me also remind you of something which is very, 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 very critical, which is also terrific. There is let me see here. On April the 4th, we are going to be, there we go. We are going to be at the, hang on a minute. We are going to be at the what is it called? The Metropolitan Republican Club. And I have tickets here, or where you go. And I'm going to be with the lovely and talented Dick Morris and Mrs. L and a bevy of others as part of our, it's like we're not running for anything. We're running for attention. New York Warriors Unite. Absolutely. One of the best things ever. And I'm trying to find this one. I'll get it for you. It's a very, very good piece. Let me see. Oh, that's not it. Anyway, and we do this because we're getting out there. And we want you in your community to do as well, to let people know. So don't forget, go to Mrs. L's YouTube channel at Lynn's Warriors, Lynns. Some people put Lynne. I think that's Loretta Lynn. I don't know what the hell. Anyway, Lynn, Lynn's, Lynns Warriors at YouTube, and Lynn's Warriors, Lynns_Warriors on X. Okay? All right. And dear friends, thank you so much. And Dan Howell, lady. What? I'm sorry, I missed some folks. Raul Rodriguez says people being arrested do not let go of their phone. Absolutely. And the lovely Dan Howell says, from last night, God seeded the universe with species of life, all capable of evolution to become a god. First to evolve wins, but he sent his son to all of them as a test. We failed ours, reproduction by evolution. Do you think he sent his son to all planets and all areas? I do not think so. Maybe. But Dan, I thank you for your insight, and Raul and Edie. I thank you I love your perspective, and I love to always learn from you as well. All right, dear friends, have a great and glorious day. We will see you later. Don't ever change. I mean that sincerely. Don't forget, follow Mrs. L right this moment. Go to right now. Follow her. Go and subscribe to her YouTube channel, Lynn's Warriors, and look at the incredible work she's doing. All right, dear friends, have a great and glorious day. See you tonight at 7. Don't forget, subscribe. And don't forget this, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da, da.